Dr. Umar explaining why was there no video footage of Whitney when she passed away. Did somebody pay for the footage to be gone? You would think at least the cops would have want to get hold of the video to see who came in and out of the room of the hallway. In the lobby, they would see people coming and going, who went into the room, who came out of the room. They claim and they said that Ray J was there. In fact, according to TMZ, Ray J was at his own home when he found out about Whitney's death, and then he immediately rushed to where she was to see her. What was the goings on that happened in that room while Clive Davis was having a party in the same hotel while Whitney was dying, was on her deathbed, while Clive Davis was partying on her name? And people knew about the death, and some people were crying in the party, some people were not. Clive Davis says Whitney would want the party to continue. So what did he do? He continued partying, and this woman was laying dead in another suite. There was no reporting that he said a prayer for her. Let's hold hands and bow our heads in silence because Whitney's laying up there in another suite, in another room, dead. No, none of that. You didn't call for somebody to say a nice little prayer. You know, black people like to pray. He didn't call for nobody to say no prayer. He didn't call for no hymns. So on one side of the room, people were crying when they heard the news. The other side, they were having a good old time, honey, partying, like if it was 1999. And so he continued the party. And a lot of people were chastising him for it, and some people saw why he did it. Now let's listen to what Dr. Umar have to say, because boy, you know he's opinionated. He got a whole lot to say on the subject of Whitney and Clive Davis.
Killers came into a hotel room, right? Yeah. That's a 5-star hotel, Hollywood Hilton, right? Beverly Hills Hilton. Can I ask you a question? Where the footage from the hallway? Where the footage from the hallway? Why we never saw the footage from the hallway? You know why? Because whoever had Whitney Houston murdered had enough power to make that footage disappear. But kill Whitney for what, though?
That's what I was going to ask, though. What she was fighting for?
I'm going to tell you what I think she was fighting for. What do all entertainers do when they run out of money?
So their masters publishing?
What's the first thing they start looking at?
They publishing, they masters.
Yes. Their masters.
Yes.
And all the royalties that I never got.
Yes.
Ooh. So Whitney Houston broke the Beatles record.
Yes.
Whitney Houston broke Elvis's record. Whitney Houston is the only black artist ever, not even Michael Jackson, to have 3 certified diamond albums. I Will Always Love You is the highest selling female song in world history. You understand me? Is she broke?
Facts. I ain't never heard.
Whitney was going to order an audit on her publishing, her royalties, her masters. And there's somebody who couldn't afford that to happen. And that's why Whitney not here.
Yeah.
And isn't it ironic that Whitney Houston dies the same way that Jimi Hendrix dies? In a tub, in a hotel, allegedly from drugs. And we know why Jimi Hendrix was murdered, the greatest guitarist of all time, because Jimi Hendrix wanted to finance the Black Panther Party, but he didn't know that his agent, his manager, was an MI6 British intelligence agent. What?
So the guy he's talking about is Michael Jeffrey. According to Wikipedia, he was working with intelligence, meaning he was working with the British MI6 agency before getting into music. And that's who Jimi Hendrix hired to be his manager. He didn't know his background probably. A lot of these guys are so secretive when they work for the CIA, FBI, MI6, etc. Who knows if he was involved in any clandestine operation? Now, just like how we have the FBI over here in the U.S., they've got MI6 over there in Britain. So he did serve under that agency. because Wikipedia gave the start date, but it did not put an ending date. So maybe he was still in service with MI6 at the time he was managing Jimi Hendrix. But let's continue.
Damn, they gonna have you mapped out.
And Prince was murdered because Prince didn't want to sell his unpublished music to Warner Brothers.
Prince, we know, died of a fentanyl overdose. And everybody was surprised that he was using any type of drugs because that was not how he portrayed himself throughout the years. In terms of his music catalog, he had a whole bunch of songs that he did not publish. So that part is true. In terms of the fentanyl, I don't know if he was deliberately unalive or if he took the fentanyl, but that's what did him in. So the coroner's office said he died of an accidental fentanyl overdose.
And Michael Jackson was murdered because he didn't want to sell the Beatles catalog back to Sony Records.
What you want to
Kelly didn't go to jail till R. Kelly started questioning control of his masters.
We saw how the R. Kelly story played out over the years. It wouldn't be honest to say that he didn't go to jail for pedophilia. Just being around underage girls, dating them, having intercourse with them. So I would say that is true, that assessment of why he went to jail. There are plenty of stories out there on him with underage girls hanging around the schools, the high schools, the junior high schools, in the McDonald's, checking out the young girls after they come out of school. So there are plenty of stories. And then don't forget, there was a story with a 14-year-old that he urinated on. I mean, all those are out there for the world to see, and it's documented. So I think that is correct when it comes to R. Kelly. Now, the part about his music catalog, I'm sure he probably was looking into it because when stars become broke, that's the first thing they do. They look to see where the extra revenues will be coming from, although they were already paid.
Bill Cosby goes to jail because the second largest oil company in the world wanted to drill under his home in Massachusetts and he wouldn't let them.
Well, we know Bill Cosby went to jail because of essay allegations, and a lot of women came forth, and the proof was in the pudding, although a lot of cases were very old, 20, 30 years after it happened. He himself admitted to some inappropriate behaviors with some of these women. So we know why he went to jail. But I did look it up in terms of the oil drilling that Dr. Umar mentioned. And yes, the oil company wanted to drill. They wanted it okay to drill. I believe they said the driveway area. And he didn't give permission. I think that's the home he's still in Pennsylvania.
The reason they brought up the lawsuit is to financially bankrupt Bill Cosby, so he got to sell the house and the oil company gets the oil.
So now, if what he's saying is true, Bill Cosby is sitting on a whole lot of money. So here is Shaka Khan talking about Whitney's body was in the hotel, dead. Whitney was unalive. Clive Davis was still having a pre-Grammy Award celebration. So he didn't cancel the party. So some people who found out she was dead that same night were crying at the party. And the other half were celebrating at the party, having fun. So it was a mixed bag in the party, and you would think he would say, okay, Whitney just passed away. Let's cancel this party. Instead, he said she would want the party to continue. Now, CNN did this interview with Shaka Khan back in the day after Whitney had died, and they wanted to know her take on it and where was she, what was she doing, etc. And it's kind of surreal when you listen, actually, because I had not realized that while the party was going on, everybody knew Whitney had just passed away. and some people were crying while other people were partying. And Clive Davis said, let the party continue. Whitney would want it that way. Let's take a listen.
I think, going to go to the Clive Davis party. Yes. It was a surreal event where Whitney's body was still in the hotel, and there was this sort of party where apparently half the room were in tears, the other half were kind of partying. What did you feel about that? I thought that was complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She was the kind of woman that would say, stop everything. I'm not going to be there. You know, I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously and whose life had been affected by her. So they were like, I don't understand how that party. I had Clive Davis by pure chance in here on Friday night with Jennifer Hudson, and he obviously worshipped Whitney, and I think he must have gone through agony when he heard this news, knowing it was 2 or 3 hours till this event. Right. And I think he took the decision to turn it into a tribute to her. And I understand that. I mean, he obviously was wrestling with the right thing to do. That would have been right if it really was a true tribute, and and a true tribute, might have been a truer, a more honest tribute in my opinion, would have been maybe call everybody together, let's say a prayer, and let's eat dinner and go home. What is your? I couldn't get dressed. I was supposed to go to the party. I just got off a plane from Miami at about 5:30. As soon as I hit the tarmac, I found out. I heard, and I couldn't put on makeup. I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed. I couldn't do anything.
That was really awful that party continued. Anybody else in their right mind would have said, you know what, cancel the party. I know I put a lot into the party, cancel it. I got a lot more money left. Clive Davis is loaded, so he didn't have to continue with that party, but he did. That was insanity. I say that, Shaka Khan said that. A lot of people are saying the same thing. Now, whether or not she was deliberately taken out, unalived, I don't know. Can't prove it. But what I do know, everybody pretty much knew why she passed away. She was strung out on a lot of drugs, whatever she was using. Her death was accidental drowning, I believe, and she was drunk at the time. They found alcohol in her system. So if you're going to go in a bathtub and you are drunk, you can easily fall asleep, because alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. So you're going to feel sleepy and drowsy. You're going to want to sleep. So once you sleep in a bathtub and your entire body goes flaccid, it's so relaxed that you can very easily slip under that water. So guys, drop your comments. What do you think? What do you feel about any one of these topics that was mentioned in this video? I'm over and out. Don't forget to hit that like bell as you leave the page if you haven't done so in the beginning. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.